Hi everyone, and welcome back to the music reaction video. I appreciate you stopping by. And today the song I chosen to listen to is Puppet Parade by Megadeth, which is their fourth single from their new album. This one's interesting though, because I know for the other ones, the other past three I reacted to, they were all music videos that were put out for those, but this one doesn't have a music video out. So I'm not sure if they're not putting it out yet, or they're not gonna put it out at all. But I am quite excited to hear this. I actually did see that the Megadeth album got leaked a few days ago, but I've been a good boy and I didn't listen to it yet. So I'll be waiting for the official release date, and I'll probably do a full album reaction to the new album. So I'm quite excited, but I'm curious to see what this one sounds like. So let's just get right into it. And in the words of Jeff Walker,
let's rock!
ooh, I like that intro a lot. Something I want to point out is with these singles so far, I noticed a lot of them start off with like a little guitar riff, just guitar, and then they slowly transition into like the drums coming in after the guitar riff has been played for a bit, which I thought was interesting. I wonder if that's a common theme throughout these songs on the record, because at least for the singles, I feel like I've heard that a lot where they just start out with a guitar riff, and then they slowly add in the other instruments. Also, I want to point out I really like the new album art for these new singles. Sorry, not album art, but the new single art. They all look so like consistent with each other. I'm assuming it's gonna be it's the same artist who's drawing all of them. But I really like the art style specifically. It's like it doesn't look very digital. It looks very like sketched, which is a really cool aesthetic. But yeah, let's go back into this. Also, I like that guitar solo. It wasn't like too shreddy, but it was like it felt just right for the riff that was playing behind it. You know. Those bends are nice. Like, I really like that guitar technique they use there. They kind of like use this. It's the same bend, but they're plucking the string at different points in the bend, as in like slightly higher bend versus slightly lower bend versus slightly lower bend. You can hear that again. Yeah, it almost sounds like they're actually doing like a little pinch harmonic there. On the bend as well, which is pretty cool. But it's like not the same, technically not the same note on the bend. It's like slightly lower or slightly higher each time the note is plucked, which is pretty cool.
Loud and the drinks are cold, but nothing dulls the pain. I bite my tongue and self-lie, pretend that I belong. Another shot, another high, make it a double, and make it strong. No voice, no choice, you must obey. When the blood runs cold in the plants we've made, where the strings are pulled and the traps are laid, where the lies are truth and our lives are straight, as we march in line in a puppet parade. I ride the edge.
I'm gonna rewind that. I'm a little conflicted on this chorus, but I'm gonna listen to it again. I liked how they transitioned into the chorus for starters, where they kind of slowed down a little bit. It almost felt like halftime, but let me hear that again.
You must obey when the blood and make it
Go back a little bit more.
another shot, another high, make it a double and make it strong. No voice.
Yeah, I like this riff right here.
You must obey when the blood runs cold in the plants we've made, where the strings are pulled and the traps are laid, where the lies are
I'm a little conflicted on this chorus. For one thing, like, what can I say? This is the first time I felt this on a Megadeth song, from this new album. But I feel like Dave's voice is like sounds really really strained here. I know he's been through a lot with his voice. I mean, he's had throat cancer just a few years ago, and he's like in his 60s or something, I think now. So obviously he can't sing like he used to like back in the 90s, or 80s. But yeah, I don't know. I wasn't a really big fan of how his voice sounds here. It sounds so strained. Like usually I'm a pretty big fan of Mustaine's voice, and I haven't really noticed on this on the other singles that I reacted to from this album, but I'm not a big fan of that chorus right there, I would say. Um and I feel like this is the most like chorus sing heavy. This is the most singing heavy chorus that I've heard of the single so far. So maybe that's why I feel this way. Um because I feel like in the other ones he's kind of just like talking or like using a little bit of singing, but this one is like the most sing heavy chorus. It kind of reminds me of like Symphony of Destruction a little bit. Um, but I think his, I know it sounds like I can't really, I know I shouldn't really be that critical of his voice because he's been through so much, especially with the throat cancer and everything. Um, but I don't know. It sounds a bit rough here. I won't lie. I won't lie.
The blade, just try to spark a flame, but all the colors start to fade and blur into the same. They say I've got it all, yeah right, a king without a crown, but when I crash against the floor.
Yeah, like I don't mind his vocals here like that much because it's kind of that's like I really like his vocals here, like the snarly vocals that he's kind of known for. It's not really singing vocals, but it's more like snarly. And I like his vocals a lot more than what he's doing on the chorus, personally.
The colors start to fade and blur into the same. They say I've got it all, yeah right, a king without a crown. But when I crash against the floor, I barely make a sound. No voice, no choice. You must obey. When the blood runs cold in the plans we've made, where the strings are pulled and the traps are laid, where the lies are truth and our lives are trade, as we march in line in a puppet parade. Strings tied to my back.
Wow, this song feels a lot less thrashier than the previous singles. Interesting. Going for a different style with this one. It sounds a lot more like traditional classic heavy metal-ish. Again, maybe like Countdown to Extinction era Megadeth a lot more. But I'm gonna listen to those solos again. That's pretty cool. That riff behind actually reminds me a lot of another Megadeth riff. I think it sounds a lot like the chorus riff from Dread and the Fugitive Mind. If you guys hear that, let me know in the comments, because I kind of hear that. It sounds very similar. Maybe that's why I feel like this is more like a heavy metal song rather than a thrash metal song. But yeah. I'm gonna guess these are Timu's solos because they sound a lot more melodic, for sure. That's not to say Mustaine doesn't write melodic solos, by the way. Just listen to My Last Words and you'll see he used to write very melodic solos, but I feel like nowadays his solos are much more shreddy as opposed to melodic. So this is why I think it's Timu soloing here.
Tied to my back, must smile like a hangman. You know it's an act. It's a curse tied to charade as they dance for the crowd in a puppet parade.
Oh wow. I'm gonna rewind that whole part actually. Interesting. I really liked how he ended that though. Let me hear that again. Like, sounds like it's like a mini growl right here. I mean, like how after he did the puppet parade, he kind of lets his voice like hang a little bit, the vocal fry, and then he goes straight into this little heavy section right here. Pretty cool. Like those little, how do we call it? Like muted guitar string riffs right there. Little muted guitar string action in there. I guess it's called like a guitar rake, right? Those rakes are pretty cool. Nice sweep picking in there, I heard. Gonna listen to that again, actually. Definitely a Timu solo here again. Yeah, sweep picking for sure right there. Nice. Well, that outro definitely reminded me of some 90s Megadeth. Maybe like a She-Wolf outro kind of feeling right there. Interesting. Whew, okay, I have to say, I'll be honest and say this probably wasn't my favorite track of the singles I've heard so far from the new Megadeth record. Especially, I wasn't a big fan of the chorus. I don't know, I just feel like Mustaine's voice just sounded a little bit... It sounded a little bit too strained when he was singing on the chorus. That isn't to say there wasn't anything I enjoyed in this track. I actually really enjoyed the intro specifically. I really like how the drums kind of came in and then the little like melodic guitar solo. I think that fit in really well with the riff that's playing behind it. So I think actually my favorite part was the intro. And I like that little part. I wouldn't necessarily call it a breakdown, but that little heavy section in the middle, where it's just instrumental. that part was pretty cool as well. And I guess the outro, I actually like the outro a lot too, even though it's like a lot less thrash metal-y, more like heavy metal, Megadeth. Um, I like those outros. It was pretty cool. I like how they just ended off with an instrumental outro. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the new Megadeth track. Let me know if you enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to reacting to the whole album soon. And yeah, thank you for watching this reaction video.